So we got another little project going on here today with my sister's Lance 1575. I did a video previously on this trailer, a couple of them. One was putting on the solar and another one was the trying to lift the back end a little bit and the front just so it wouldn't drag as much when she'd come out of her driveway. But what we did in those videos is it helped, but it's not quite enough. So we've since discovered that with these Dexter torsion axles, it's really difficult to lift these things much. In fact, with the axles, you can't really do it at all the way you would a normal trailer that has leaf springs and that sort of thing. So we've discovered that there are these plates that you can have made, these steel plates that can bolt on under the frame, and the axle. There are plates on the axle already that bolt to the frame, and you can just unbolt those and drop them down, and then bolt them to these new plates, and have the new plates then bolted to the frame, and you can get about a 2.5-inch lift doing it that way. And these plates, they're not commercially available, I guess, but my sister found on this Lance forum that some people had these made from a machine shop, and they use a computer file that's apparently put together by some engineer with a CAD program, and you can get a copy of this file and bring it to a machine shop, and they'll feed it into their computerized, I don't know whether it's a plasma cutter or what it is, but they'll just cut these things out for you. And I think she paid somewhere around $120 for it, maybe a little more than that because she had them powder coated. But it's a really good deal. Other than the only other way I know to do this is to replace the axle with a different Dexter axle, which is going to run in the thousands or over $1,000 anyway to do that. So that's what we're going to do, and so let's get started. So here's one of these plates, and we're going to just bolt it on there. So we've got the trailer jacked up here. And you can see this is the axle, and the way these Dexter axles work is they've got an arm coming off of them. I don't know if you can see down in there, but it goes back and attaches to the hub, and then it pivots. This actually pivots right here when you hit bumps, so the brake drum will go up and down, and it will pivot right on here. And there's a torsion mechanism inside there that allows that to spring up and down. But the trouble is, if you want to lift a trailer, how do you do it? I mean, you really can't. There's no way to do that. If you can get a new axle that's called a 45-degree axle, and apparently it springs, or that resting state is lower than this one, so it has a tendency to raise the trailer up. But like I said, that's really expensive. So what we're going to do here is we're going to unbolt these bolts here. We're going to just loosen them actually right now, and then loosen them on the other side too. We've already got the trailer jacked up, and then we'll work on these one at a time. But it's important, if you're going to do this, to do not unbolt these completely on both sides, because then this thing is going to fall out. This is heavy. You want to leave the other side attached while you're working on this side, and vice versa. And when I say attached, I mean the bolts are still in there, but they're loose, because you need to lower this to get the other plate in there. And if you have the bolts loose, it's not going to be able to drop but it's going to be able to fall down enough so you can work on it here. But you'll see how it goes. So first of all, I'm just going to go around and loosen all these bolts. These are 3/4 inch heads on here, and there's 4 of them on each side. I'm just going to loosen them up real good first, and then we'll continue from there. Okay, there's some wires here. These are the wires going to the electric trailer brakes. And when I drop this down, I don't want to stretch these wires out because they go up underneath on the other side and they attach up near the top. So I'm just going to clip this zip tie off of here so I can pull it around. All right. What I'm going to do now is pull the bolts out, and we're going to try to pry this thing loose so it can fall down. And underneath here I've got the jack set so that the axle will fall right on top of the jack there, just about an inch or so. And the jack is under there so it doesn't fall completely down. And then I will lower it slowly as we move it down more until we get it down far enough to where we can add the plate on top of here and then bolt this on. These are all 1/2 inch bolts, and they're 1.5 inches long.
Fine thread.
Fine thread, yeah, they're 20 threads per inch. Okay, that's the last one. Now we're gonna lower this down. There it goes. Now, this is actually the second side. We've done the other side. When you do the first side, whichever side you're doing, it's really hard to get this thing to drop down because these bottom holes here, there's an indentation. They kind of indent towards the inside, and there's an indentation in the frame here that they fit into. So it's really hard to pry these out of there to get enough clearance for this to get out of that indentation. And we've already, like I said, we've already done that on the other side. So, you know, once you get one side out, the other side is easy. It comes right out. So I'll show you what we did over there. Was this piece here fits up underneath this lip, but there's a little space. It doesn't go all the way up. So we just fit this, we got about a 2.5 foot long crowbar, and we fit it underneath here and then pried it. Not on this side, you can't really because this is in the way, but on the back side you can get it underneath there and you can pry it so that this is prying up between this and this side here, and you can pry it out to where it takes a lot of force to push it out. I never saw anybody else mention that, but it was a real pain on the other side, so just be aware that you're going to have to do that. So now we're going to put the new plate on, and this part here on the old plate that sticks out is going to go right through the slot here on the new plate. And I think we might have to drop this down a little more. Yeah, it's still too high because we need to get it up underneath this lip here. So I'll drop it a little more. So let's see if this will fit on here now. Yep. Now this thing moved back a little, so we're going to have to move it forward. It's kind of hitting this little bolt right here. Wow. And now we're just going to have to jack it up enough to line the bolt holes up. That looks good right there. See, in the back one here, it's between the this arm that pivots and that thing, so, and the plate, and there's not enough room for me to stick this nut or this bolt in there. So I'm going to bring it in from the back side and just thread the nut onto it on this side. Okay, these are bolted on with the top 2 bolts and the bottom 2 bolts. Now I need to drill holes through here, the middle bolts, through the frame and through this plate, the original plate. And in order to do that, this one I can get through that one okay, but this one, the brake drum and the backing plate is blocking it for coming straight in at it. I could come in from the back side, except for I don't know exactly where the hole is, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pull the brake drum off and the backing plate so that I can drill a hole straight in from this side. So first thing I need to do is take off this little bearing buddy. Just pry it off like this. And the nut will just spin off. And grab the wheel bearing here. And the nut will, or the drum will come the rest of the way off. Now I need to pull the backing plate off. And this whole thing is the backing plate. And it's got 4 nuts on the inside. These are the studs here, 1, 2, 3 behind here and 1 up in here. You just need to pull those nuts off the back side, and then this will come right off. And they're 11/16 nuts. These are the backing plate nuts here. 1 there, and another one right here. Okay, I got those off, and now I just need to pull this off of here like that. And just set it down here. Now I'm going to cover this up because I'm going to be drilling here, and I don't want all these metal shavings coming down into where the wheel bearing and the hub are. I found that it's a real bear to get through these, so it's best to start out with a small drill bit and then, you know, gradually increase the drill bit size. And I'm going to do probably 4 to 5 different drill bit sizes until I get up to the 1/2 inch one. And that was what I had to do on the other side to get through this stuff, because it's pretty heavy duty metal. All right, okay, we've got all the holes drilled, and then we've got 2 more bolts we bought from the hardware store, and they will go here like that. And got a couple of 1/2 inch nuts to go on there and a couple of lock washers. The originals had the nylock nuts on them, and I would have bought those, but the hardware store was out of them, so lock washers would be just fine. And now it's just a matter of bolting these on. All right, those are now on there, and now I'm going to torque them down. Okay, just crank it down, make sure it's tight with the pliers, and then back it off, and then retighten it just by hand. And that should be good. Feel for play. Don't feel any play in it, and it's free to turn, so should be good right there. And we'll put the retaining clip back on here. Just like that. Put the bearing buddy back on. All right. Okay, since we had this all apart, we're now going to re-grease the wheel bearings. Do the same thing to the other side and you're good to go. So it's all done now, and it's about 2.5 inches higher than it used to be. See if I can find a picture from before to compare this to, but it's pretty nice now. We took it out for a ride, and it drove great. Didn't notice any difference from before. The real test will be when my sister gets it home to her place where she used to drag on the driveway when she'd go out on the gutter. I know I put a warning at the beginning of this video, but I just want to say it again. This method of raising this trailer is not approved by any RV organization, by Lance or anybody else. So we just found this on a forum where someone had these plates manufactured by a machine shop, and they provided the file that's needed to do that, in addition to a sheet with the dimensions of it. And I'm going to put those out on the internet, and I'll have a link to them. But like I say, use at your own risk, because we don't know who made these, whether they were an engineer, if they had any qualifications or not. But we felt that it's probably safe, because if you just look at the these plates and compare them to the original plates that are also still on there, these things are at least twice as thick as those. And the one thing they don't have now is that indentation that made it so hard to get it off of the frame. They're missing that. So but they've also got 2 extra bolts. The original plates had 4 bolts on each side, and now there are a total of 6 bolts. So we think it's going to be all right, but don't go by what we say. You know, there's no guarantees. You're doing this at your own risk if you want to go ahead and try it on your own rig. But I will definitely in the comments update this if we have any issues, or even if we don't, you know, maybe a few months out. We'll see how it goes. All right, well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.